Did you know you can sponsor your favorite podcast on the Spin Market Podcast Network? Hi, everybody. I'm Peter Stockdale, host of the Spin Market Report. In the past year, our podcasts have had over 20,000 total streams, and our YouTube channels have had over 1 million views. Whether you're promoting a product, service, or event, we'll help you reach the audience that matters. Get more information on how to sponsor a podcast at spinmarketwith2ks.com. Spin Market. Your business, your message, our platform.
It's the Spin Market Report. Here's your host, Peter Stockdale.
All right, we are sitting back down in the podcast studio, Spin Market, Marketing Monday.
Monday.
Love it, love it.
Everybody waits for this day. We know they do. They just can't wait to get to the office for Marketing Monday.
Yes, so hashtag Marketing Monday for anybody listening out there. We're sitting down with David Flattery today. David, you are also one of the 10 under 40 recipients for 2025 in Fort Dodge. Congratulations.
Yeah, thanks so much, and thanks for having me today.
You bet.
That's awesome. So you are the activities director at St. Edmond's, right?
That's right.
Okay. What got you started down this path, maybe just in the education realm?
Yeah, that's a good question. It's kind of a long story. I'd have to start back probably with my schooling. When I went to, started off in college, I really didn't have any idea what I wanted to do for a career. Really, the only thing that was on my mind was baseball. So I started off, I went to Iowa Central Community College for baseball, and I didn't really, like I said, I didn't know what I was going to get into, so I just got my Associate of Arts degree from Iowa Central. From there, I moved on to the University of Nebraska, Omaha, and played 2 years of baseball there and got my business administration degree. And still at that time, I'm trying to work my way up and, still just kind of a stubborn thing in my head that I was going to play baseball. That was going to be my career path.
I've had some relatives that's what their goal was going to be, the Lombards, that they were going to be the baseball.
Right. Yep. So that was always my dream. I mean, ever since I was a little kid. So that was my straight line path. That's all that was on my mind was, I wanted to make it all the way and play baseball for a living. So spent 2 years in Nebraska, Omaha, got my business administration degree. I had one more year of eligibility. So I transferred to Augustana University in Sioux Falls, South Dakota, for my final year of college baseball. And I started a master's program in sports administration.
Oh, cool.
And I think that was the first moment where, it really started to hit me like, I'm having some arm injuries. I was able to pitch my last year at Augustana, but I was really struggling with my elbow, my shoulder. So that was the first time I had a thought in my head, like, all right, what am I going to do here if this old baseball thing doesn't work out? So starting that sports administration program, it really opened my eyes to some different possibilities career-wise. Being an athletic director, it always, been in the back of my head, I guess. I really, sports have been important in my life, and just being around sports is my comfort zone. So when I realized, you can get a sports administration degree and start in the world of athletics, that really struck my interest.
Great.
So I got my degree from Augustana. Baseball, I got an opportunity to continue after college. I signed a contract and played for a little bit down in St. Louis. But like I said, I was having enough arm problems where it just didn't work out. I was there for about a month. Made a start, had a shoulder issue, didn't pitch for 2 weeks, made another start, was having elbow problems, and then that was it. I got released, and funny story, where my path led next was on my way home from St. Louis. I get a call from the head baseball coach at Iowa Central at the time, Justin Meyer, asking what I was up to and if I was looking to get into coaching because they needed a pitching coach. So crazy coincidence there. And that's where life took me next. I accepted a job at Iowa Central. I coached there for 3 years. I worked in the housing department. Just a phenomenal place to work. Can't say enough good things about the college. Head coach Eric Stein, he was my coach when I played there. Just a phenomenal guy, and he runs an impressive program. They've found a lot of success under him the last recent years. And then this whole thing came up at St. Ed's. They posted the position for the activities director, and I had some people reach out to me right away, like, hey, you should apply. And I think that nudge, I loved my job at Iowa Central, but I think just the number of people that reached out to me and nudged me in the direction of applying for that role was enough to get me excited about it and to throw my name in the hat and go through the process. And yeah, this is year 5 now. Year 5 as the activities director at St. Edmond. It's been, an amazing experience. I've learned so much. I took the job at age 26, not having any experience. So it was an uphill battle. I was learning a lot. I was, in charge of a lot of things. I had a lot of responsibilities and was managing a lot of people. So it wasn't all pretty. I've definitely grown the last 5 years, but I'm just getting to a point where, I feel comfortable and confident, and I feel like we've got a really strong vision at St. Edmond right now with the school and what we want for our athletic programs and music and our other activities. So yeah, just been super blessed.
Some of the best learning experiences come from when things aren't quite what they should be.
Yeah, that's a heck of an answer. Like, what am I going to get? Like 2 more questions in here in the podcast.
Sorry,
Thank you, everybody. Good night.
Long-winded.
No, that's great. It made me think though, like, if you didn't have 1 extra year of eligibility, do you think you ever would have gone down this career path? Because that's why you went to Augustana, correct? And then you started your master's program, and everything just kind of unraveled to here eventually.
It's funny. Yeah, it's funny how life works, right? Like, you have just small moments in time that you look back on, and it affects the whole trajectory of your life. And that's definitely one of them. Yeah. I was always, I had Tommy John surgery on my elbow I should have had it. I tore my elbow up as a freshman in high school. Ooh. They told me, if you get that fixed, you're going to have to sit out about 12 to, 18 months. And I played all the sports in high school, and that was not an option. I could not, just rehab for a year and a half and miss out on those experiences. So I held off, and had the surgery right after school. And that's what, so I technically redshirted my first year of college. Okay. So that's what gave me that extra year of eligibility. But again, that's part of my story, I guess. Yeah. If I would have had that surgery as a freshman in high school, life would be different. I could have played 2 years at Iowa Central and then just 2 years somewhere else, got my business degree, and maybe I'd be in the business world right now.
That's wild. That's super cool. Is there a particular moment, or maybe like a mentor or a person that kind of inspired you to go down this path of, being the activities director? You had mentioned people were kind of being like, you should apply, try it out. Was there anybody or any time in your life specifically where you're like, yes, this is what we're going to do now?
Yeah, I don't know about a specific moment. Definitely, I've had some great coaches in my life, great teachers that probably got me excited about getting into, this sort of career path. I've always, my comfort zone has been around athletics. So it may be more of an indirect thing, but like, I've just, sports have been a major part of my life. I've, arguably I've learned more on a sports team than in a classroom. And that, when I came to realize that, the impact that sports have had on me, I think that's where this has all come full circle, and being able to lead our athletic programs and be around, sports and our events at night and stuff. It's just, it's where I'm supposed to be. I truly believe that.
Nice. You said you kind of went into the job a little green, no pun intended with the St. Ed's. But like how did that all change over time? Has it evolved over the last few years? Have you kind of gotten used to things? Have you changed your approach with how you kind of went into it initially?
Yeah. The actual, the day-to-day, the job has, for the most part, stayed the same, but how the career has evolved for me the last 5 years has been more internal, like how I've been able to internalize things and I handle things better. It really is, just to be candid, it's a very stressful job. I do wear a lot of hats, and being able to manage that stress is something I've really grown into. Just trying to, I'm kind of a perfectionist at heart. And so what I've learned in my role is I have to be okay with, things not going perfect all the time. It's event planning and, I've got a list in my office of about 20 to 40 things on a daily basis that I have to get done over a certain, period of time. And some days I'll check off 10 of them. And, when I started, it's like, no, I got to check off. I can't go home with these, remaining 20 things to do. But you just have to manage your time and check off 10. And then, while you're checking off those 10, you probably got 10 new things that you got to add to it. So it's just a running list of things to do. And it's, it's stressful at times, but that's where I've grown the most. That's where I've evolved the most, is just how to manage my time, manage my stress levels, try to keep, priorities intact, making sure our family life's important. And I'd say that's the biggest thing.
What about the biggest challenges? I know you kind of just rattled off a handful of them, but are there any things you were surprised by when you first took the job? Because you said like event management. Like if I was an activities director, obviously all the activities are events, but like I wouldn't have imagined you'd be like an event, coordinator of sorts. But you are, in all honesty. Yeah,
when I was in high school, I would always our AD at the time was Joe Shanks, and I'd see him everywhere. I'd see him at events. But I never realized like what he was doing on a day-to-day basis. I'd see him eating popcorn by the student section and be like, oh, he's got a pretty good gig.
That was his like one time to breathe.
Right. Yes. Exactly. That was hour 15 of his 16-hour day where he's trying to eat a snack.
Yeah. And you think about all the different sports, not only the men's or the boys' sports and the girls' sports, and all the majority of them are in the evening.
Right.
So it's a lot of family juggling for you to be.
Yeah. So that's the biggest challenge. The hardest days are, your long days where you're showing up to the school at about 7:30 and, wrapping up a home basketball event at about 10:30 at night and, taking money to the bank afterwards and, getting home at about 11 o'clock. So those are your long days. And I really don't mind. Like I said, I enjoy, the school day and then, getting ready for a big event. I just love sports. I love watching our kids compete. So that whole thing, I don't really have a problem with. The long days, you get drained sometimes. But it's, the biggest challenge is when you have a tough, busy day at the school from 8 a.m. to 3 p.m., and then, you start your night, and that's kind of where my day starts. So if 3 or 4 o'clock comes around and I'm, drained from, meetings or having to, handle some conflict resolution or whatever's going on at the school that day, those are some challenging days. But that's the beauty of education. It really is. There's your high days are really high. You get fulfillment. The kids are great to be around, teachers, you're building relationships. But then, the downside of it is the tough days are tough. They really are. But those great days, they really make it worth it. They do.
What skills do you think are the most important for somebody in your position? Maybe it's at St. Ed's or elsewhere, but what are some of the skills after you were there a year or two, you're like, oh, these are the ones right here. These are the ones that are going to help me the most.
I hit on it a little bit, but time management, that's definitely a big one. I think remaining calm, things are going wrong all the time. you have a home basketball night. There's 4 or 5 games within a 3 or 4 hour period. There's probably 15 workers there. You got about 6 to 8 officials. Something's bound to go wrong. A scoreboard's not working. An official needs something to drink, or is having some run-ins with a fan, or something's bound to go wrong. And if you can't keep calm and cool and collected, you're bound to really, really struggle with the stress of it all. And, you got to keep your heart rate down and just, stick to the plan and find solutions. And, I guess to answer your previous question, the event management piece, like, that's one thing I had no idea when I was getting into the position. Like, it truly is, you're planning for it's just a home basketball event, but you've got 15 people that you have planned to show up there. You've got your fans coming, you've got your ticket takers, your concession workers. So there's a lot of moving pieces on a given night. So to be able to keep everyone in check and just keep the flow of things going without losing your mind, at every turn, I think that's an important skill that I've grown into as well.
I think that's one thing a lot of people forget about administrative roles is, mainly the job there is to like fix problems and put out fires. And a lot of people see, you were talking about, the previous athletic director eating popcorn. And it's just like, well, that was 1 hour out of a 15-hour day. That was the one reprieve that this person got. That's the thing I think a lot of people see with the administrative roles is it's just like, it doesn't really look like much on the surface, but when you go behind the scenes and you see like the 10+ hour days and literally all you're doing is fixing problems. And I think that's one of the things a lot of people forget about these types of positions, being the boss at a small business, managing people in any capacity. It's not an easy thing to do. It's not an easy thing to withhold some of your emotion and come up with what will be the best solution for everybody involved. And I just wanted to point that out because I think that's very important.
Yeah. I mean, it's one thing I learned right away getting into education, the role of the principal. So much respect for all of our principals, here in Fort Dodge and everywhere. That job is, I handle things quite often, but that job is on a whole nother scale. They're solving problems, the scope of their work, the amount of people that they're managing or are in charge of. It's quite impressive. And we have 2 great ones at St. Edmond, Maury Rubel and Tabitha Acree. They do a great job. They just really, put their nose to the grindstone and get to work. And they're doing awesome.
That's good. How do you measure success in your role? Is it at the end of the day when St. Edmunds wins and you fly the flag high and then you go home, that's success? Or is it just everybody having fun at the basketball game this weekend or something?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I would say my goal, one of my main priorities is to give our students and our coaches, make sure that there's a great experience with all of our programs and events. But just making sure, and that doesn't always mean, I get questions all the time like, okay, your mission is for these kids to have a great experience, but, my kid or this kid's not getting the same amount of playing time as this kid. And those are hard conversations to have, but, I have to, bring it back to the bigger picture. We're using sports and activities, to build, to develop skills, life skills, and build character. And sometimes that's not always, it doesn't come from equal playing time, I guess, for example. And that goes back to some of the skills that I talked about I learned growing up in sports. I learned so much from being on a team that, I would have never learned if I was just in a classroom all day. You learn how to be a good teammate and, conflict resolution and how to compete in everything you're doing. So I guess that's how I measure success is, are we doing those things? Are we teaching our kids how to find success in life. Are we educating them in a certain way that's going to help them persevere with whatever they're doing later on? Life's not easy, right? I mean, you're going to have challenges. And if I think that's, one thing about, being in a school, you want everyone to get along and life to be utopian, but that's not the world. So we as educators and coaches, we got to do our best to, when there is challenges and conflict, we have to address that in a way to our students so they know that, hey, this is okay. We're going through something right now. This is a challenge. It's not great. It's not ideal. But how do we push forward? What's the solution to this? Let's not dwell on it. Let's figure out how to push through some adversity and persevere. This is all long-winded, so I don't even remember what the question was, but success.
Yes. I mean, it makes me think though, like when you're a kid growing up and you hear people like, oh, you got to learn how to work on a team. And it just sounds so cheesy. And then you get out in the real world and every job is a team. It makes me think about like Matt Price. We had him on here a few weeks back or whenever it was, but it's the 10 under 40. He's another winner. That's basically all he talked about for the fire department. They have to work as a team and they have to basically be like a family together and have each other's backs. And that's important. You learn that in sports.
Right.
You learn that. You learn how to play a role. Maybe it's not the most glamorous role, but without somebody blocking on the line, the quarterback can't throw a touchdown. It's one of those things. It doesn't look that great on paper, but there's no stat sheet for like the best left tackle in all of football. But you can't have a Tom Brady without having that left tackle.
Absolutely.
Over there. So I think that's something a lot of people, maybe it's a tough pill to swallow as a kid, but like when you grow up, you're like, this is actually something really important that I didn't put enough weight on.
Yes.
Sometimes I feel that way about myself anyways. Collaborating with teachers, coaches, other staff, maybe even the students themselves to help out the students. You mentioned a little bit of it. What kind of collaboration do you work with, for the students and the teachers, or maybe just the other administrators in the building to make sure these events go off smoothly and everything is functioning the way it should be?
Yeah. It's a unique thing about St. Edmond. We are kind of a smaller school, smaller community. We have teachers that are very involved with the day-to-day of these kids' lives. Like, you might have a teacher twice a day, and then they're coaching you in a sport after school. Or, we might have teachers that aren't coaches that are checking in on these students, their grades, just building relationships with them. It really takes the full unit of a staff at a school to create a culture where students feel safe, they feel heard, they have great experiences, they have mentors, they have role models. It takes everyone in the building to create that culture, and that's what we're striving to do at St. Ed's. That's a challenge of it too. You got different personalities. You have some coaches that are not teachers, so they're out of the building. But sometimes that provides some different perspectives as well. So it just takes our full unit coming together to give these kids what they need and try to educate them and send them on their way post-graduation.
I love that perspective. Life's literally only a matter of perspective on everything. So that's great. I do want to say once again, since we're about halfway through, congratulations, 10 under 40. You're one of the recipients this year. I believe you're the third or maybe third-ish person we've interviewed from that list. So it's kind of cool to know that you guys are coming in here, and it just, how does it make you feel to receive that award? Was it shocking? Did you think that was something that was even on the table?
Well, yeah, absolutely. I was, very honored, very humbled to receive that message that I was nominated and receive the award. Definitely shocking. I had seen that publication come out, every year, and I turned 30 this year, so I didn't expect my name to be on this list for something like an award like this. But very humbled, very honored. I know it's a huge honor for us here in Fort Dodge.
So do you know who nominated you?
I don't.
Oh,
you don't. All right.
I think most of the top, only one of them finally figured it out. But of all the ones that I've talked to, most of them still have not found out who's nominated them.
Well, call in if you know. The number is down below in the description.
I just think that's really, I think that's even more fun, is the fact that you don't know who nominated you, and it just adds that another element to it.
So, I mean, this is like a community award for like the Fort Dodge and the area. It's not necessarily specifically only if you live in the city limits of Fort Dodge. How do you hope that your work is, now that you know that you've received this award and people have taken note of what you've done, how do you hope your work is going to impact the community in the future?
Yeah, I guess I don't live life thinking about people's reactions to what I'm doing. I don't know if that's the best way to put it, but I guess my personal mission is just to live life in a way that is, spreading the gospel of Jesus Christ. Like, I want to serve people. I want to work as hard as I can in anything that I'm doing. I want to be kind to people. I want to be upbeat, I think that's just a mission of mine, and I hope that pulls people in from the community, and I guess I don't know what I'm trying to say, but I want to live life in a way that pulls people, that attracts people to what I'm doing, and hopefully builds, a better, my family's great, community's great, then the greater area of Fort Dodge is better because of it. Yeah, I don't know if that was as clear as I'd like to be, but
let's follow up though. Like, do you think, I mean, this is something, did it ever occur to you that like what you're doing is actually creating like community events for everybody in town to come together in some capacity and enjoy something together in town here? I mean, like, you think about like downtown country jam or like things like that. Those are community events. You're literally doing that, on a weekly basis, multiple times for all these sports and activities and things going on. Has that ever like occurred to you? Cause like,
absolutely.
Cause I mean, that's something that, when I was, making these questions up, it's like whether or not you think you're doing it or whether or not that's just like your intention, you're building community here in town. And maybe that was, it's not really like a question, but that's kind of the follow-up I had to what you were saying.
Yeah. I've had that feeling before, and it's one of the most fulfilling things, because I want what's best for St. Edmond. I want our school to thrive. When you go to a big event like a football game or a basketball game or a concert, and you see our community coming together, wearing the green and white, I have at times like taken a step back and just been like, okay, what I'm doing here is all worth it right now. Like, we're pulling people together. We're all, on the same team. We've got the same mission, the same goal, and we're building this community to what it, we're trying to optimize what this community could be. So to answer your question, yes, I have felt that before, and it's a very fulfilling thing. It really is.
How about like one particular event or like a student or a situation that made you like particularly proud about this kind of job? Maybe it's, this football game went off without a hitch, or like this student needed some help, so we helped them with this, and now they're playing baseball or something. Do you have any of these kind of stories or things in your mind that stick out as like the benchmarks?
Yeah, the relationships that I've been able to build are the ones that stick out to me the most. Like specific, you just have a high school kid stop in and want to chat one day for 5 minutes. How's your day going? Maybe they had something happen that they just want to fill you in on. Recently I had one of our students who graduated 2 years ago now, or maybe 3 now. He stopped in and we had about an hour-long conversation. He's interested in being an AD someday. So we had a really good talk. Very similar conversation to kind of the stuff that we've talked about here that have opened his eyes to, what I do on a daily basis. And I think he was like, he walked out of the room thinking, oh, maybe I don't
maybe I need to rethink this theory.
But I hope that's not the case. I think he'd be a really good fit in the future. So just things like that, the relationships that, you're able to have with kids, built some great relationships with our coaching staffs too. I love how close I've gotten with our, specifically our head coaches, the ones that I'm in constant communication with. I love that we have the type of relationship where if things aren't going well or, there's issues, they come in my office and we just kind of hash it out. They might get on me a bit, I might get on them a bit, but at the end of the day, we walk out of the room and we have, we found solutions to problems, and we're still good. We know that we care about each other and we're trying to do what's best. And those are the best types of relationship in life, right? Ones that you can be open and honest, and they're not just perfectly smooth all the time. You can fight, you can, have dissonance, but you still come together because you know that you love each other and you care about each other.
Yeah, that's good stuff. Upcoming programs, upcoming initiatives, things going on either at St. Ed's or things that you're involved in. What are you excited about that's coming up? Are there anything that's coming? Maybe we can breaking news on the podcast here, but or just an event. You're just like, this event, I like this event every year.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. I'm really excited about. We've got a great group of elementary parents right now that are taking the reins and coaching their kids with youth sports. When I first got here, there wasn't a whole lot of Gale, youth sports going on. And now we have parents that are, starting a third grade basketball team and working with me to reserve a gym space and asking about tournaments. And, we had some parents start some youth volleyball stuff this fall. Just, little opportunities for our kids to get involved and develop skills and kind of, spark an interest in their head so that when they get to middle school, maybe they do want to play a sport or, join an activity or something. They've built those relationships with their classmates and I think we're going to see the fruits of that in the coming years, I believe. And then just something else that I'm really excited about. We have a great campus ministry program at St. Ed's. Brian McLean, our current priest, Father Jake Rosenmeyer. It's just I don't think everyone knows what it is, what the program's about, what the initiative's about at St. Ed's, but they do a great job of, instilling the faith in our kids. Kids can stop in there during study halls. We're trying to take it to a whole nother level with our sports teams too, and really embed the Christian faith into our sports teams. But just the campus ministry program at St. Edmond right now, it's really cool to see. I think they're doing a lot of good with these kids. So just shout out to those two guys.
Do you think you have a favorite part of the day, like at school? Like, is it the lunch is the best? Like, is that like, what is school lunch like now, actually? Let me ask you that. Is it better than when you were in school?
I don't think so. Yeah, this
Really?
could be, I don't know if I'm supposed to say this, and Mackenzie probably knows too. School lunch when we were growing up was like the greatest thing ever. Chili and cinnamon roll day.
Oh, yeah.
Chicken patty, Fiesta sticks. It was like every day. There was maybe 1 or 2 days that it's like, oh, this isn't great today. But for the most part, it was an exciting thing going to lunch and, we've got a great lunch program. Our lunch ladies and everyone who prepares our food does a great job. It's, not to say anything poor against them. It's just a different day and age. The food's a little different.
Yeah. Nutrition and stuff.
Yeah. Nutrition. That's the biggest
the requirements
thing.
That they are.
There's a lot of requirements out there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Can't be just feeding kids 3 cinnamon rolls and for lunch.
I remember even when I was in high school, and this is going to sound wild, but like what they would do is they would like take all of the calories that were created and served and then divide it out by all the students and try to figure out like whether or not the proportions were correct of every student kind of getting something similar to what they should get. And we had like a salad bar at our school. And what they found out was like with all of the dressings at the salad bar, we were like going over our caloric allotment per child, or there was some like math they did where they had to like cut out salad dressing for a while at our school. Yeah. And that was the first time I had ever like experienced. I was like, I didn't even know this was a thing. I thought they just made food and they were like, here you go, it's chili, eat it, and I love school chili, by the way.
I know.
The cinnamon roll applesauce. Oh man.
And that only you have to be from Iowa to understand the cinnamon roll and the chili and applesauce.
My wife's from Minnesota, and that's even close enough where I thought that she would have heard of that before, but no, she was chili and cornbread growing up.
Ooh, yum.
And I think that's probably the typical, is it possibly just an Iowa thing, chili and cinnamon rolls?
I think it has a reputation of being that way.
Yeah. Applesauce next to it. I'm like, I can't tell you how many times I've like dipped a cinnamon roll in chili and then scooped up some applesauce. Right. Obviously I was a kid when I was doing that, but it kind of makes me like, what are we doing for lunch today, guys? Oh, man. If you weren't working in activities management at St. Ed's, do you think you would still be coaching baseball? Or do you think you would have a different life path?
It's hard to say. I feel like my passions are coaching and teaching. I really do. I feel like, there might be, there could have been some different paths that, led me to a place where I could have found success or found fulfillment. But teaching and coaching, I coach middle school baseball still. That's one thing that I've felt comfortable picking up on. During the school year, schedules are so busy. I don't think I could do it, but middle school baseball is for the most part in the summertime. So that's fed my itch of, getting back on the diamond and getting back into coaching. But I just really enjoy it. I enjoy being around, the kids. I enjoy watching, them develop from the start of the season to the end of the season. Everything, every cliche about coaching, I love it. So yeah, that's one thing, people have asked, what would you be doing? Like, your dream world right now, if you didn't have to earn money, like, I think I'd just be coaching like 4 sports and I don't know, maybe teaching some classes. I think that's where my passions lie.
I'm glad you mentioned the coaching because believe it or not, I didn't have anything on here about you coaching. So that's pretty cool. Let's shift gears into like a kind of a fun one. This kind of goes along the lines of what you're saying. Like if budget wasn't an option, if administration wasn't an option, you could make any event for all the students at St. Ed's. Like, what would it be? Would you like a big chess tournament? Like, what kind of a thing would you do? Like, bring the circus to town? Like, what are we talking? It's a very open-ended question.
Right.
I like the circus to town. I bet that could be fun.
Yeah, that'd be good.
Why not?
I think I would say to be able to, and I don't know if this answers the question directly, but to be able to host any of our events and make it feel like a college football Saturday.
Ooh.
That would be cool.
Tailgate ahead of time.
Yes.
Playing in front of 100,000 people. You said, you said anything. So any event playing in front of 100,000 people, just making it like a world-class experience, having video board, having hype, videos going, just, your experience that you have at your favorite sporting event, professional or college, bringing that into the high school. I think that's my answer.
That would be awesome.
That's cool. That's really cool.
It makes me think like, who's going to start the St. Ed's like tailgating club?
Yeah.
Like let's start it up.
That could really go off the deep end. I don't know if that's a good idea.
Oh man. I don't know. I like the idea though, give the kids the experience that, we see elsewhere. It's, right. Give, the movie treatment kind of deal. I like that a lot.
Yeah. Like playing college sports, you get, moments in time, like just looking back, some of my favorite moments were, on the big stage. We made the College World Series my final year of college, and
awesome.
And you're playing, in a world-class facility. You got thousands of fans, and that experience, I wish everyone could experience that at some point in their life. So yeah, like having these high school kids, a lot of them, you finish your senior year and maybe you don't play competitive sports ever again. So giving them that experience would be ideal.
That's awesome. All right, so we're getting close to the end. I've been trying to spice these up with some fun questions at the end. Maybe some of the students are watching, maybe some of your peers are watching that are staff there at the school. Do you have a hidden talent? Is there anything that like, or a fun fact or something that people that like just work next to you might not know? Or maybe some of the students might find kind of fun. Like, can you juggle or like, is there something?
I can juggle. Yeah.
Yeah, all right.
Awesome. I was a shot in the dark.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can juggle. Geez, I don't know how. I can't even remember the origin of that. I think I was in like elementary school or middle school and just said, I'm going to learn how to juggle.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I can juggle. You know what? Something a lot of our students don't even know, but I actually, after my first year coaching at Iowa Central, I lived in Paris, France for 6 months. I didn't know anything about it. I had a couple of college teammates contact me, and they had played overseas before, played baseball overseas. A couple of them were in Austria the summer prior. They're like, you should just, it's kind of fun. Like, you don't have to, it's not 100% serious, but they'll pay you to go over there. They'll set you up in housing, and you can play. It's professional, but the level wasn't nearly as good as the professional level here in America. But I was able to go over there and live in Paris for 6 months, play baseball. I met, a ton of great people, learned a little bit of French, but I don't remember hardly any right now.
Was it something that you brought home and used every day afterwards?
Something that I brought home
that you didn't bring, that you weren't doing it.
Yeah. Oh, that's fun. I would never have thought like I lived in Paris would have come out of this podcast. That's really cool. Yes. All right. We get close to the end of this episode. I usually ask everybody the same thing. Before we get to the last question, I just want to say again, congratulations on being one of the 10 under 40 recognitions. So the last question, I ask everybody this: is there a time in your this Spin Market is a digital marketing firm here. So is there a time in your life where marketing impacted you and you possibly didn't know it until, the product is already in your hand? Or
yeah, I mean, that it happens all the time.
Yeah.
I feel like, it's the algorithm, right?
Yeah.
I think that's like, I don't use social media a ton, but when I do get on social media, I'll like scroll and come past an ad, and I realize I was just having a conversation, 5 minutes prior about that, and that's a scary thing. Mm-hmm. But then, yeah, like, my wife and I will go out to eat. Like, where do we want to go? And we choose a place, and then I realized, okay, like half hour ago, I saw that ad on, my reel or mm-hmm. on social media. So I feel like today's world, marketing it's a crazy thing. Subtle things like that, they're really affecting our brains in a way that we don't know. Yeah,
the algorithm's wild, because if you hover for just a second too long on something, right. Like you could be scrolling through your feed on whatever social media and stop to sneeze, and now all of a sudden the social media algorithm thinks, oh, you must really love this content that you paused on for a second. Yeah. I mean, it's a nonsensical example, but like I was watching a video of like pro wrestling from the 90s. There was a wrestler that was like a sumo guy. That was like his like shtick or whatever. And so I like watched this reel. I'm like, oh, this is kind of fun. The very next one was just like dudes in Japan doing actual sumo wrestling. And I'm like, now the algorithm thinks I'm like a huge sumo wrestling fan, which is not, there's nothing wrong with it. It's actually kind of cool. But at the same time, it's like, this is a weird pull and I haven't seen it for a few days, but now that I mentioned it, it's probably going to be all I'll see for the next week. I don't know.
I'll have it on my phone when I
yeah. And you're going, oh, it's because of that podcast that I was on. I'm watching sumo wrestling now.
I remember another one was like an oil change. I was talking about how like, oh, I haven't gotten an oil change in like this long. And all of a sudden it was just like, oh, here's a filter. You need one. That sounds like, it's, how do they know this stuff? But they know. And, there's ways to go about doing that. So it's kind of a fun quirk of marketing. So
right.
I do want to say, again, thank you very much for joining us, taking some time out of your day, because we pulled you away from the school to come in here and talk to us. So thank you very much.
It's been a lot of fun. I appreciate the invite, and yeah, thank you guys.
You bet. Well, I have something that I always like to do with everybody, because we have Buster the Bulldog here. And Buster is our mascot because we are bulldogs for our clients to get you in the digital world and get you people to find you. And so we ask everybody to rub Buster's head for good luck. because we know that you'll take that back to the school, and St. Ed students will appreciate that.
Cool.
Awesome. Thank you again.
Yeah. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
This podcast is produced by Spin Market and Digital. Located in Fort Dodge, Iowa, Spin Market's highly skilled team can help you increase your market by updating your website, improving SEO, designing advertisements, and producing podcasts that will grab the attention of your market. Contact Spin Market today for all your digital marketing needs at digitalagent@spinmarket.com or call us at 515-302-8026. And to learn more, visit our website at www.spinmarket.com. That's digitalagent@spinmarket.com or 515-302-8026. Or visit our website at www.spinmarket.com.